On January 6, 2021, Americans had crossed a line few thought it was possible in the 21st century, but American terrorists attacked and occupied the U.S. Capitol and brought our democracy to a halt. We were again at war with terrorism, but only this time it was homegrown. The lessons of history are clear. It took the brutal attack by Al Qaeda on 9/11 for Americans to grasp the threat that foreign terrorism posed to our country. But prior to the attack, intelligence had identified Osama bin Laden and Al Qaeda as terrorists who were a danger to us. But while there was evidence that foreign terrorism was behind the attacks on our embassies and ships in the decade before 9/11, only a few expected the kind of sophisticated planning that led to the hijacking of three airliners that would crash into the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, and with the fourth targeted unsuccessfully to the Capitol and White House. Nearly 3,000 innocent men, women, and children were killed in this attack. But when foreign terrorists crossed that line, it was a wake-up call to all Americans that we were at war and we need to do everything necessary to make sure that such an attack would never happen again. And January 6th must be the same kind of wake-up call that in the war against Al Qaeda, we came to understand that bin Laden motivated his followers to conduct violent attacks on U.S. targets to destroy those who symbolized any kind of American power. He motivated them with a fundamental lie that all those non-believers who do not share their goal were responsible for the failures in their lives and they all deserve to die. And many of those followers were poor, not well educated, and frustrated by their lot in life and wanted to find others to blame for their problems. Their religious extremism made them blind to reality and the consequences of their action. Some of the same frustrations that motivated foreign terrorists are also present in those who attacked the U.S. Capitol. They too were moved by lies promoted by their squatter Donald Trump. Among the lies he told, we were rounded in the corner on COVID-19 and masks leave you vulnerable to the disease. But most importantly, he promoted deception and denialism around the November election by falsely claiming that it was stolen from him, which it wasn't, and that he was the real winner, which he wasn't. He wanted them to march on and attack those in the U.S. Capitol who symbolized American political power that left him out. Trump found what they call willing loyalists, or sycophants as I like to call them, and members of the far right-wing extremist groups, and even casual online followers of such ideologies that already believed, and false conspiracies aimed at them. Overwhelmingly white people isolated by grievances based on imagined affronts, and angered by anyone who they perceived as imposing rules and limits on their freedom. The former squatter, through his lies, constant shows of outrage and attacks on our democracy, provided the perfect expression of their resentment. Like all terrorists, these extremists see the violence as the most effective way to get others to pay attention to their cause. Their goal is to disrupt and undermine the process of government because they, like Trump, have little patience with the rule of law. But terror now has become their weapon. While the foreign terrorists use bombs, IEDs, and armed attacks on the innocent, the terrorists at the Capitol use clubs, flagpoles, fire extinguishers, and other weapons to destroy property, make lethal threats, create havoc, and kill. They found comfort in numbers, responded to the incitement of the squatter, and they moved against the Capitol that we learned was all too vulnerable to an attack. As a CIA director during President Barack Obama's administration, this person, Leon Panetta, had the responsibility to deal with terrorism, whether it emanated from abroad or within our borders. And the key to success, was having good intelligence and well-targeted military and law enforcement operations. The close cooperation of federal and local law enforcement shared information with their allies in a coordinated and unified command that would spare no effort to bring criminals to justice. But most importantly, we learned to never underestimate their willingness to cause harm and chaos and their resilience. The mistake by the Capitol Police, the Pentagon, and others was that they assumed the worst would not happen. It is essential that there will be preparations not only for the expected but for the unexpected as well. Perimeters may be secure, but the disruptions that can occur outside those perimeters are equally dangerous. It is essential for federal and state governments to use sufficient security measures within the law as may be necessary to secure a democracy. But terrorists will not accept the truth of why they are wrong, but they will accept the reality of overwhelming force. And these are important lessons that can be learned in the fight against terrorism, both foreign and domestic, since 9/11. But there is also a fundamental difference between the two that could ultimately provide the key to success in extremists abroad, such as the form of ISIS, Al Qaeda, Boko Haram, and others. and they are much more willing to die for their cause and much more patient about achieving any success at all. Their terrorism is driven by deep religious conviction and not just political paranoia, and that makes them much more resilient and difficult to defeat. Terrorists in the United States draw their strength and followers by promoting the politics of hate and anger, and it's fueled by political frustration more than religious conviction. They actually provide some hope that if a new administration can work to improve a depressed pandemic-riven economy, and they provide needed jobs and reach out and hear all Americans in distress, such a functioning democracy can deprive the would-be terror leaders of their acolytes and help control terrorism. But in the meantime, it would be careless for our national security and law enforcement agencies not to take seriously the clear and continued threat of homegrown terrorism in America.